Okay, so far we've installed and opened our editor. We downloaded the file. Before that, we actually opened the file in the editor, and you saw how the system actually recognized everything. That's why I put the .py file in there, so it would automatically say, oh, this is a Python script, and it would show you all of the interpreters that's built into the editor. Now, I used Visual Studio Code, and I could have used Sublime or Atom. It really doesn't matter. I could have used Notepad++. Again, it's your preference. In my class, we'll be using one of these two typically. So the next part now is going to be, we actually have to get our hands on the actual Python program. And we need to install it. And remember, I want to use version 3. Now, I used to teach this class for version 2.7, and the reason being is the majority of the code that's out there today is written for 2.7, and I'm finding more and more of that code is actually being translated to version v3 of Python. Now, the issue here is there's operational differences between 2 and 3. As an example, in 2, if I do something like print, it's just a command. In version 3, print is a function. So I have to incorporate whatever it is I want to print in the idea of parentheses. So, and we'll get into all of those mechanisms. I'm not going to spend a lot of time focused on version 2. If time allows, I'll record a little mini video on how we can actually write code that's going to allow us to make our script work in either version 2 or version 3. But there are some features in version 3 that don't even exist to the extent that they can be emulated in version 2. So we will definitely be writing everything in our class using whatever the current version of 3 is in the system. So let's go ahead and dive into getting Python installed. Now, I already have Python installed, but what you'll end up doing is you're going to go to your browser. From your browser, you're going to go to python.org. Python.org. And then from python.org, what you're going to do is you're going to download your release. The current release is Python 3.7.3. I am currently running, I think, an older version. So I'll say Python-V. I am running 2.7.10, and for Python 3 we'll do -V. I'm running 3.7.2, and the current version is 3.7.3. So I'm probably not even going to really worry about upgrading. The current labs that we have are running the same version I'm running, so when you log into my lab environment, you won't have to worry about it. But all you're going to do is download it, and you're going to install it. And you can do that for whatever operating system you want. Now, once it's installed, so once we've got Python installed, what we're going to do is all we need to take care of is since I have both versions, I'm going to type Python 3, and that's going to put me into the Python program. So now I've got everything that I need. I've got an editor, which is going to allow me to be able to write scripts. And it's going to offer me assistance. It's even going to give me the capability of being able to get some help debugging if something's going wrong. I have Python, the programming language. In fact, if you want to install both, that's perfectly fine. 2 and 3, they'll work. Just remember, when you want to run 3, just use Python 3. We also are going to need to have some other components that we're going to need to talk about, and we'll talk about those in the confines of the actual class, because we're going to need something called pip. Pip is going to be the program installation package. It's basically a tool that allows me to be able to download things like the YAML file format. It lets me download NetMiko as an example. We mentioned NetMiko as a library. So some things are already baked into Python, some things you actually have to download. If those things were created by third-party entities, you'll actually download them. NetMiko is one of them. I'm going to teach you guys how to write your own little Python library, and we'll actually install it. We won't have to use pip because it'll be locally installed. But the object here is that we're going to be using tools that were written by people a long time ago or last month, whatever it is we're trying to implement and do, and we're actually going to be able to write our own code. And the object of this entire process, remember, it's python.org, is that there's an infrastructure in place for everyone to be able to share the things that they create, especially in things like networking, because even though we've been doing networking for years, I've been using Python to work with routers and switches for 10 plus years. However, it wasn't really something that really took hold until we introduced this idea of software-defined networking and automation and all of these tools that are coming out of the DevOps arena and being introduced into the networking arena by things like VMware, Cisco ACI, a number of other components. So with that all being said, I'm pretty much done here. Get your Python installed, get your session opened, and what we're going to do is we're going to start talking about the very first topic in the next video, and that's going to be variables, their importance, and specifically we're going to be talking about data types. Because the variable defines where the information is stored, data type is what defines what type of data we're going to be storing. So we need to make certain that we understand the difference between a string. We need to understand the difference between, say for instance, a tuple or a set. So we'll talk about that in the next video. I'm Terry Vincent, and I'll see you guys there.